Hello. Hello, everyone. It's Pinching, and I'm back. Was never off the boat. Back in 2017, I think, a long while ago, I went to a silent meditation thing in Finland. It's called Vipassana. A guy from India called Goenka invented this method. I assume Vipassana referred to this method that he created. But I'll get into the detail about this method of meditation later. A little bit background about why I went there. I think at that time, in retrospect, at that time I was not very happy with life in general. I wasn't happy with the progress of my master's study. I was doing my master's here at Tallinn University in anthropology. It was not clicking with me yet, the subject I chose. Because before the master's, I was in Japan doing international relations, which was, kind of what I was used to. Social science, things about analysis, grand scale analysis. And I wasn't particularly a good student either in Japan, even though I got very decent, pretty good grade, close to getting a cum laude. I wasn't. I think I ended up with 4.6 out of 5, 4.5, 4.6 out of 5 as my final GPA for my bachelor study over there in Japan. But I wouldn't say I was a good student at all. I skimmed through most of the classes. I didn't really pay attention to whatever that it was taught in the class. The high GPA was probably due to the fact that I went to a lot of bullshit class, and the teacher, the professors, the lecturers, they simply didn't care. We were international students back then, and I was attending a English-based program. It was separate from the Japanese classes. So we were just hanging out with a bunch of foreigners in this very tight-knit communities of foreigners. And we were pretty sheltered away from the harsh environment, academic environment, where Japanese kids had to go through. We didn't. We had our faculties. We had our own classes. Of course, the Japanese students were welcome to join the English class, but they were most here for novelties. I wouldn't say they come here because they know there is academic rigor that they were looking for in these classes. No, in our classes, no. It simply was kind of a novelty thing. Like, they come here, they want to see foreigners, and they want to see how, like, full-on English class, like classes conducted in English were like. And that was our niche, right? But the quality of the classes were not there. I wouldn't compare them with the Japanese conducted classes because I never really attended any. I might have been to one, all right, one or two. But and out of those two, one or two, one of the class was English class, like Japanese conducted, Japanese taught English class, and that was very elementary. So truth of the fact that was that I was never a good student. that's how I would label myself as. That's how I would categorize myself as. And then coming here to Estonia, obviously master degree entails a little bit of a different I guess entail a different kind of academic experience. It's harder. There's a lot more reading, and people are used to English conducted class. Of course, here I was not doing it with Estonian. I was still attending an English program, and everything was in English. All the reading were in English, all the assignment were in English, and all the classes, all the sessions were done in English as well. It was harder. The intensity of the research, the reading, the discussion, the lectures, they were all, I would say, standard for master's course, but I was not used to it. I was not really prepared for it. When I was doing my bachelor's, I just have to lean an ear in the class and for maybe 20 minutes, and most of the time I was just like chilling and talking to my friends who were sitting next to me, or not. There were not really much of a conversation, a discussion in class, not so much. The teacher just saying something up there at the podium, and we're not listening, just having fun, pretty much. I seriously don't know how I managed to graduate. I put a little bit of effort into writing the thesis back then, but it was not nowhere close to what I expect the thesis was supposed to be. I put in maybe a few days into writing it, and it was largely incomplete, full of grammar and typos, grammar mistake and typos, and ended up getting an A. So I'll let that pass. Back to anthropology at Tallinn University. This is a lot more difficult than I expected. I just simply couldn't handle it in class conversation, discussion, whatever you might call it. Everybody chipping. You're expected to chip in, which is not what I was. I guess I was expecting. I knew it would be like this over here in Estonia, in Tallinn University. I kind of saw that coming, but I wasn't prepared for it. Like when it hit, any kind of understanding wouldn't matter. It's a matter of like actually experiencing it, right? In Japan, or even before that in China, all those 9 years of, from grade 1 to grade 9, I wasn't really expected to participate in lectures. Most of the time we're just listening and pass exam. That's it. Listening to lectures. Literally in Chinese we say 听课, which will translate directly into listen to the classes, listen to the lectures. You're not there to participate, not in a discussion kind of way most of the time. Yeah, there are some minor discussion here and there, but most of the time I was just sitting there for the first 12 years of my education. Sitting there. 12 years. Oh no, for the first 15 years of my education. Whoa. That's crazy. Yeah. 12 years of 12 years of until high school graduation, right? So those 12 years plus 3 years in Japan, 15 years of education, I wasn't really taught to participate and actively in the classes, in lectures, in discussion. No. But once I moved here to Estonia, there are a lot more discussion going on. They're mostly like seminars. Most of the lectures are like seminars. They're a small class, and the teacher talk a little bit as an intro, or they just throw out the questions for the discussion that is about to come, and the students in attendance would chip in, participate. Everybody voice their opinion, and oftentimes it's based on the reading we have done for the lecture. So that's something that I wasn't used to. I struggled, and most of the time I feel like I had nothing to say. I simply had nothing to contribute. I was super insecure about it. Like, to go to class was a big struggle. I never felt like I wanted to I was never one of those students who want to sit in the corner of the room growing up. But for the first year at Tallinn University for my master's, and I was 23, 24 years old, a fully grown ass man trying to sneak into all the classroom and sit in the corner, the edge of the rooms, trying to be invisible. Like, in hindsight, this is so cringe. Unbearable to think. But back then, it was quite normal. I didn't feel embarrassed by that. I was, trying to avoid embarrassment of speaking up in front of the classroom because I feel like I didn't really have anything to contribute to the classroom. Everybody else have tons to say about the reading material, about the topic at hand, but I didn't. And most of the time, on top of that, to be honest, like I feel like they had a way, most of my classmates, I felt they had a way with words. I felt like they understand what they're saying. I feel like they have so much angles they can like kind of maneuver around. Just on one, let's say the topic is like this target, right? They can hit it from different angle, but it's not precisely like they hit it right in the bullseyes, right in the middle of it, right at the core of the issue. No, it's more like the maneuver around it. They can go all across and back and forth and here and there, and they will attack the same issue from so many different angles. Yeah, some would hit, some would miss, but the angle was just like they go back and forth talking about it to use their personal experience. They refer to academic writings, literatures, and they refer to not so academic references as well, like things they have heard, oral history, um, suspicions. Sometimes like you know things they have heard on the street, on the news, what they have experienced. Like they mix it all up. Some subjective observation mixed with more of a traditional kind of literature review. They mix it all up, break it apart, and they just throw it out there, which is a really interesting thing to do because I was never like that. I was never taught to do that either. Most of the things I would say my education up to that point was telling me or kind of leading me, I guess, not telling me. It wasn't that kind of education either. It was kind of leading me to be comfortable with just stating the obvious. You know what I mean? Like it's not about like opinion, mixing opinion into fact, but there was always just, there's right and there's wrong, and it's largely black and white. It was never really directly taught to me that you should state things black and white. I don't believe that was a part of the explicit expression ever in my education, but somehow it was kind of just ingrained into my brain that I was gotta think this way. I don't know where the influence come from. Maybe because there was we're very heavy on math and physics and all those hard science, natural science, and there's really no room for debate. 1 plus 1 is always going to be 2, unlike in humanity or social science, especially in anthropology. You're kind of led to think that 1 plus 1 has a social context and is not always equal to 2, right? There are so many like inference you can make from that point. There's so many imagination and you can elaborate on. There's so many. I guess 1 plus 1 would often be understood as a metaphor for something that is more socially grounded. Say one person plus another person is collaboration, and that can be either bigger than 2 or equals to 2 or smaller than 2. There's a myriad of possibilities. And so in social science and humanities, anthropological kind of a thinking, 1+1 is not simple at all. There's so much you can say about 1+1, and what you come up to either equates to 2 or not. You have a lot of explanation to do, and that explanation not requires you, but you could explain it from a personal perspective. Like, once you were hanging out with your friend and two of you, like, I don't know, you feel like you were such good friend and you support each other, and 1+1 is greater than 2 in that case, right? You just need to somehow support the case, with whatever evidence, whatever kind of story you might have in mind. But in math, it's not like that, right? 1+1 is 2, and there's no context or contextualization needed. 1+1 is the abstract idea. It doesn't exist in the real world. One apple is not one, because 1 is absolute, right? One apple is 1 in real world, but it's not the purest one. Nothing is purest in this world. Nothing is black and white. But I think I never cared about it. I never cared about real life scenarios. Didn't pay attention to it. Abstract was simple, was easier for me to understand, was less bullshit, quote unquote bullshit, right? Less bullshit, clear cut. I don't like complexity. I feel like it troubles me, right? It lingers on. This kind of mentality lingers on until nowadays. Like my choice of hairstyle, I just don't want to think about what kind of hair product I need to use every day, right? I just go shower. Sometimes I wash it with soap even. And I come out and dry it up with towel that I use to dry my body, and no particular need is required for maintaining this hairstyle. And some aspect I enjoy it, right? But these are simple choices I can make for myself. But daily life is more complex. I gotta deal with other people, and simplicity might not be there. But I lack the ability to handle complex situations. I guess now thinking back, it might have something to do with the fact that I like the purest abstract stuff, and I neglected real life scenarios. I neglected that the complexity is everywhere in our social life. So in some ways, I guess I am incompetent in the department of social interaction in a lot of ways. But let's table that for now, right? Let's table that. And I want to come back and tell you a little bit more about my struggle with studying for my master's program. So the first year, I couldn't really participate actively in any of the discussions in class, in lectures. Try to hide myself from the group, isolate myself into the corner. But it only makes things even more awkward. People don't realize you're there, and once it's your turn to voice your opinion, people suddenly realize, oh, he's there. And it just make me feel even more nervous. Like, oh, you didn't even notice I'm there? And all of a sudden, you're thrown into this active debate people have had for 20 minutes, and you're like out of it. The rhythm is gone. Like they have this back and forth amongst each other. Like, oh, last year I went to this place, and whoa, like the water over there, the water in that river really flowed quick, and in a lot of way, that's like really uh, analogous to what I'm being through all these years, like this fast current, and there's like breaking of the white water, and then there's, you know, all this kind of stuff. But you just kind of need to pedal on, and the other person is like, no, like, I feel like maybe you're like, taking this the wrong way, because no matter if you're like going down the river or up the river, like it doesn't really matter because directionality is so arbitrary. Like people been talking about stuff for a while, right? In this kind of active rhythm, and all of a sudden they're like, the teacher might be like, Pinchon, what you think about this? And the whole room got quiet, and everybody look at me, and some student would be like, oh, who's that kid? Like, never heard him talking about anything. So with that kind of facial expression, I look at people's face, some of them confused, some of them like annoying even. Like we're having a good thing going on, we're hitting it, right? Why do we have to give this kid a chance to chip in? He obviously doesn't know his shit. He's so quiet, he doesn't know. What a waste of time. And I look at people's some expressions, and it make me sad, It make me feel left out. It make me feel like, maybe I should be more active. Besides being sad, I also feel like the urge to prove myself not so incompetent in conversations, in debates, in discussions. So I wanna participate. So that urge mixed with that sadness, mixed with that insecurity, and everything mixed together, I normally just either get clogged up and don't really know what to say besides a few words like yeah, so just that's wrong, not right to think like that. I think, yeah. Or I go too hard because like you're all this emotional buildup inside of you, like they need an outlet, and you might have like a verbal diarrhea from there, talking too much, too aggressively, or too opinionated, too judgmental. Like these people should die because they have committed like serious crime. But like that's just very reactionary. Whatever you might thought about the issue, whatever I might thought about the issue, are not reflected in my speech anymore, but rather is my emotional struggle that was inside of me got reflected in my speech. So difficult time, I will say. There was no simple solution. Like it's a switch inside of your head. It's like one of the rusty switch, and you can't really turn it at all at the beginning, but you just need to keep at it. Keep reading. That's what I did. Like keep reading the material, keep doing the things that I was supposed to do, keep adding yourself into the conversation, even though it might be a struggle at the beginning. It's a mindset thing. Like it took me a very long time to shift my mindset from just stating the fact and eliminating bullshit, quote unquote bullshit, things I consider bullshit. I didn't want to add any of my personal story or what I heard on the street or what I have talked with my friend, because I think those are not academic. But the thing is, humanity study or anthropology specifically, oftentimes is about telling a story. Your personal story is as important of a story as a story told by historians. So you're encouraged to say your own stories. Even though it might not be credible, even though it might not be, straight away academic, but it nonetheless become a part of the narrative. So that was a kind of a switch that really, it's easy to kind of like, in hindsight right now, me talking about it, it just seems to be so easy. You can just tell people, yeah, tell more about your story. But when I was in that moment, when I was in that space, in that head space, all this was not obvious. And practice what you understand is even harder. So that took me a long time. And I didn't get to have that mentality switch in the first year. anthropological kind of thinking didn't click with me right away in the first year. And it caused me a lot of stress. And not gonna lie, I was thinking about quitting because I didn't see a way of finishing the degree. No, I didn't. I was doing pretty bad. Like a few classes I passed with A's, but I get B's and C's. I got even one C, which was never happened before. Maybe once in my entire 15 years before that of education. But yeah, I was struggling. I was struggling and I didn't see a way out. Didn't know if I can graduate. And I even applied for other universities while I was finishing up the first academic year over here. I applied for a school in South Africa. I applied for a school in Japan because I thought, I want to go back to Japan. It was so good. I didn't struggle. I applied for school in some random place, I guess. I don't remember. I don't remember anymore. But South Africa and Japan, I remember. You know, but I was in the process of like going through with all those applications. But yeah, I know it's random, but back then, like, I was just trying to hold on to anything, like anything, right? I was desperate. And on the side, I guess other aspect of my life wasn't perfect either. My life in Estonia, like, it's on a similar kind of in a similar kind of a pattern, I guess. Like, it just somehow like life in this small northern a European country, Estonia, wasn't really clicking with me yet. A lot of things I didn't understand. Now I understand a bit better, but back then I just didn't understand. It's almost like a life elsewhere. It's almost like my life, the life that I knew all along, but there are just small differences that I didn't, right? I didn't have any friends. I didn't know where to go to have my free time. I feel nervous going out because I was just like, oh, there's people out there and they look at you, and because I feel different all the time, right? I never been really living that long time. Besides a short fling with Italy back in 2010, 2011, I never stayed in a non-Asian majority country for more than 6 months, for more than a year. So at that time, I was feeling kind of out of my place. I didn't know how to chill outside of my apartment, so I stayed a lot of time indoor. All that was giving me a great amount of stress. I was losing hair. My hair was turning yellow because it was lacking nutrients, and I was in a rut in general, right? Just didn't want to interact with anybody. Didn't have anybody to interact with either. So just staying home, minding my own business. By that I mean just kind of making some videos back then, and I was doing a bit of reading here and there, doing my classwork, and then spend a lot of time cooking and eating, working out. Just going through the motions, like they say, going through the motions of life, not necessarily knowing where this all might lead you to, but just going through the motion. I think that's a good thing, like really having something at hand to do, either it was a video or working out. I wasn't doing it for particularly any particular motive, but just to fill up the time that I didn't know how to spend better. And I think that helped, having semi-healthy of a lifestyle. I go to bed early. I eat pretty clean because I cook myself, and I work out regularly. So keep my body semi-healthy. Was like a counter force. Um, was like a counter kind of a force to the emotional torment or psychological torment I was going through. So somehow that wasn't really uh, wrecking me like 100% that 1 or 2 years when I first moved here. If it wasn't for the regular routine that I had back then, I guess my body would really suffer. Like not only emotionally, but I was psychologically, physically suffer as well. And that would just become like a vicious circle and just going downhill from there. But somehow there was this healthy, semi healthy lifestyle that was pulling me up a little bit. So I was kind of like still can roll down the road without any long lasting, detriment. But yeah, it was under that kind of at that kind of a point of my life that I feel there's really nothing that I look forward to. And every day I wake up and I will stay in bed for a couple minutes because I don't really know what I will get up to. Like nothing I look forward to outside of this bed. Like I might as well just spend some more time here and lying and laying here instead of like getting up. What for? It was at that kind of a point that I decided I needed something, and I was trying to grab onto anything that I could grab onto to make myself feel better. That was the important thing. I want to feel energetic. I want to feel motivated. I want to feel some kind of way, at least. So somehow I found Vipassana, the silent meditation thing, from a colleague, or I would say a fellow student, who wrote something, who was a yoga enthusiast and who also did Vipassana, the silent meditation thing, before. And I heard about it, and I guess one night, out of boredom, out of nothing, I decided to give it a Google. So I went online, check out what this whole thing was about. And as far as I understood, it was just you going somewhere, sit down, and not talking for an extended amount of time, 10 days to be exact. And you're supposed to have some kind of enlightenment. At least that's what I expected. They didn't promise that. Enlightenment wasn't promised in the course description. But yeah, I looked into it. I was like, well, it's not much different from what I'm already doing right now. Just sitting quietly, not talking, not having to deal with anybody. For 10 days sounds great. Um people will cook for your food, they will cater to your need, and all you have to do is just sit, meditate. And when you're not sitting and meditating, sleep and eat. That's it, right? And I was like, oh, let's give it a try. So I signed up. There was a course. They have this. This is a global operation, Vipassana. It has been out there for quite some decades, and they organize courses like this 10-day course, which is an entry level course. Later, when you're more experienced, you can go for 20 days, right? Meditation camp, or 50 days, 100 days. I don't know how long can you go without speaking, but yeah, obviously people can do 100 days. But they organize these courses around the world. They have centers and non-centers, just pop-up centers, all kinds of arrangement, but it's a global operation, right? And they run on donation. At least that's what they claim, right? Donation and volunteers. There were a lot of helpers preparing food when I was attending a course in Finland, and they were all volunteers, people who have participated in the 10-day meditation. That's a prerequisite for becoming a volunteer, I believe. So yeah, they were volunteers. They do it not for money, volunteering work, cooking, um, prepping the site for the course, and even the teachers, the instructors who help you with understanding the technique at the camp. Their volunteer works. They don't get paid either. And for renting the location, if they don't have a center already, if they're renting a place for the course, they ask for donation. They're probably getting the money from the previous donations, and now they're asking for your donation after the course. But yeah, the entire operation runs on donation and volunteers. There's no compulsory payment at the end of the course. I didn't pay because I didn't have any money. I know it was, free, as they said, so I didn't pay for it. Um, and there was no trouble. Nobody pressure you into putting any money down, and I was quite a few students didn't pay either. And yeah, it was. I wouldn't say it's a scam, monetarily speaking, because it didn't. But yeah, it was. It was kind of a experience like that, and so in the summer of 2017, if my memory serves me right, I went there to Finland. It was a very scenic place, very picturesque kind of area in a national park. I believe it was called Nelijärvi, Four Lakes. It was a national park, and they rented this entire compound, a tourist center of some sort, with a lot of dormitory looking rooms with four beds in each rooms, and they have shared shower, shared bath, shared toilet, everything like that, and a canteen there where the volunteers prepare food, and then they serve us breakfast and lunch and dinner 3 times a day. I went there with a ferry from Tallinn to Helsinki, and then from Helsinki there's a bus that was organized by the course, by the Vipassana organization that takes you all the way there to Nelijärvi. I'm not even sure about the name, so please don't quote me on it. This is just what I remember. Um, Once I got there, there was quite a large size group. I think it was close to 50, 60, I would say at least 50, 60 students. Half girls, half guys. That's a ratio that I remember. And they're separated, right? I was in the guys' corner and the girls in girls' corner, only at the um yeah, not even at the meditation, because during the day you have this like group meditation, so everybody sits next to each other on like a hall on the ground with your legs crossed, and you sit there, and we have guy section, and then there's a rope in between or some kind of a division in between, and then there's the other side. The other side is the girls, the females. And during the day you don't see each other at all. I think even during the meal time, that man, I think even during the meal time we weren't eating together. There was like two halls for guys and for girls. It was separate, I think. But I could be wrong too, but I think I wasn't. I'm not wrong. The entire time there's a separation of male and female. I only get to hang out with the guys. But yeah, at the very beginning, when we got there, we still could talk to each other. We're introduced to our rooms, settled in. The bed was simple, just a mattress with some kind of a simple sheet and beddings on top. There was a blanket, and I brought some, I think, a sleeping bag with me. And I had two roommates. It wasn't full. It was four bed, but there was only three of us. Me and a Finnish guy and a guy from Bhutan. but it was Nepal. A guy from Nepal, um, who was studying in Finland. So three of us, two Asians, surprisingly, and three of us living in the same room. We get to talk briefly before gathering up for the dinner and the introduction of the course in the open hall. The open hall is on the second floor, the third floor of the building. I don't remember, but this is a pretty long, stretched out building. On the first floor is students' accommodation. On the second floor, I believe it was for the girls, and on the third floor, you have the meditation hall. That's how I remember it. So we're on the first floor. Pretty nice place, simple but nice, right? The shower was warm. You know, you don't have a lot of privacy. You go in, take a shower, and you're out. Even though there's boards separating one shower from another, but you gotta come out and dress up and do all that stuff. And people, there was like maybe 30, 40 students, male students waiting to take shower in turns at night. So it was pretty big hurry every night. But nonetheless, it was super nice. The food was simple, was mostly vegan. I remember we were eating a lot of lentils, beans, and just simple bake with a little bit of pepper and salt. Not so much like uh stimulating food, you know. It wasn't spicy. It wasn't like, I think it was intentionally made that way. Everything was like plain. It was supposed to make you peaceful, I'm assuming. And there's maybe some chopped up apples here and there. There's chopped up bananas and oranges you can eat as well. The portion was also small. Get some bread here and there. Very simple, very, very simple food, almost like hospital food. Get meal maybe 2, 3 times a day. Definitely had a breakfast with oatmeal maybe. And then lunch is what I said, lentils, lentil soup, some bread. I was never full, always hungry. And after 10 days, I think I lost at least 5 kilo, even though I wasn't doing any running because I was prohibited. You're not supposed to do any physical activities besides walking around in the compound. There's a designated walking area you can do circles. I remember because I was lacking. I was missing working out so much. I'll do circles whenever I get the opportunity to. Just circling around in a very small circle. Uh, we got the intro at that night. Before the intro, we could talk to one another, but after the introduction, we were instructed not to talk anymore. That was the last time I get to speak to anybody at the course. Um, Actually, that's not correct. There's like sessions after every day's meditation that you can talk to the instructor. We had two instructor, one girl and a guy, and we get to talk to them about the experience and the question we might had. But it was a very short exchange. We normally get our name called in a group of 5, and then we get to sit down in front of the instructor by the end of the day, and then we get to in turn tell him, tell him what kind of experience we had, if we had any trouble with the methods, and we get to talk a little bit. But besides that, we're in total silence. Meditation start every day early in the morning. 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, we'll probably start like meditating, and after a few hours, we get to have the breakfast. After the breakfast, we get to do another session of meditation and then lunch, and then another session. Basically, that's it. You're sitting all day doing this meditation thing. Not much else, right? And And I think later on, like there were like late in the afternoon, you could choose to either do the meditation in the hall with others, or you can go to your own go to your own corner, your bedroom, and then meditate that on your bed. Like all you have to do is just sit straight up. There's not You don't really sit on chairs. There were people sit on chairs, but they were because they have medical concerns. They can't sit on cross leg on the ground. But it's a simple kind of a sitting position. You have your leg crossed up, right in front of you, and cross leg one on top of another, and you just sit straight up like that. Super simple. And I don't remember a lot of the techniques connected to the meditation anymore. But most of the time, they just ask you to scan your body with your mind, watch your breath. Be conscious about every breath that goes in and out, and scan your body from top to bottom. Trying to use your mind to examine a specific spot on your body, like trying to put your head, for example, on the tip of your nose, and then move it to your mouth, and then trying to feel your body, right? And trying to understand and not discriminate the pain that comes from sitting at the fixed position for an extended amount of time. If some part get numb, you're not supposed to judge it. You're not supposed to think that, whoa, that's a bad feeling. But trying to accept it as it is, try not to discriminate it, I guess, because the rationale behind it is like this binary kind of opposition construct between bad feeling and good feeling is the reason why we're all craving good feelings and avoiding bad feeling, and that's a source of all miseries. Because whenever something bad happens to you, you'll feel bad, and when the good thing goes away, you will feel bad. And if you don't discriminate the good feeling from the bad feelings, then you don't really feel sad, because you're never going to lose anything and you're never going to get anything you don't want, right? It sounds reasonable, but I don't know how much I believe that. I think I don't buy that at all. Especially the numb feeling. Whenever I get numb, man, I just change my position a little bit. Maybe I put another leg over another one. And I try to get rid of the numb feeling. And also after the lunch break in the afternoon, when it was time for us to meditate by ourselves, I go into my room and I pretty much lie down and just take a snooze and sleep. I don't think I did a lot of meditation in the room at all. And even when it comes to food, like you don't really have a lot of food. I told you I really felt hungry all this time. Most of the time I was hungry. I was just thinking about what to eat. And dinner was mostly just fruit. I don't think we had like a full-on dinner. It was mostly just fruit. Maybe we get like an apple or an orange or something like that. But I requested to the instructor after a few days. I said, I feel so weak. I can't really seem to focus because I was just feeling so weak. And then after that, I'll get like a dinner specially prepared for me with my name on top. Kind of, I think it's normally the leftover from the lunch. But yeah, I remember I was kind of getting jealous look, like people, oh, who is this kid eating an actual meal? But yeah, it was helping out a little bit because I was really about to faint. It was so much meditation and sleeping and not so much food. uh, what did I get out of it? Like I did go through the 10 day. There are a few people dropped out. Um, I don't think it was particularly physically challenging. I think everybody could do it. Like I don't think I don't think I felt any discomfort about the fact that I didn't get the opportunity to talk to anybody. There was no, yeah, I didn't have any phone connectivities. I wasn't using internet at all. I was okay with that. I didn't talk to anybody. Didn't feel any discomfort. That wasn't the issue. Um, Physical discomfort, yeah, of course, but it's tolerable. I mean, if you have a medical condition, maybe it can be more difficult for you. But people who had like the problem, they sat on chairs. They were allowed to sit on chairs. If you tell the teacher that you can't sit cross-legged, they'll give you a chair, and then you sit on the chair and meditate, which is very easy. Like, I don't think it will be very hard. But a few people dropped out. I'm assuming, like, I thought about dropping out, but not seriously. Maybe just a fleeting moment. But I think people drop out, or the moment when I felt like a dropout was because there was always this videos by the inventor of the method, Vipassana method, called Goenka. And this guy would talk about like ideas. It was talk about things that is not really meditation related, but I guess the ideas behind the meditation method. How he found out that misery and happiness and this and that. That's kind of preachy. That's kind of like, I would say, cult like. And I didn't like listening to it. Sometimes I would just lay down on the ground when it's time to look at the DVD tapes. I didn't want to watch it, and I would close my eyes. I would lie down on the ground, but the teacher would like send somebody over and say, "Hey, look, you can't do that. You have to keep your eyes on it," which is reminding of me of a scene from Clockwise Orange. They pull your eyes open and force you to watch it. They didn't force me, but yeah, it felt kind of like you gotta do it. I didn't like that part, and I didn't really care for his philosophy about happiness and how to live a happy life. How he think it's the solution of the miseries. How he think this is like really going to get you enlightened. I mean, this is a retreat for me. I didn't hate the experience at all. I loved it. I really liked it. It was. I remember my skin was getting better because the plain food I was eating was not much seasonings. Because there was no internet, I feel like my eyesight was getting better because I don't have to look at the screen all day long. And I was in a very natural and picturesque environment, have fresh airs, and um, so I felt better coming off the experience. To be honest, I felt really good, physically speaking. But I don't think it helped me like emotionally in the long run. Like this whole thing about self improvement, like Vipassana, meditation, yoga, or whatever you feel like, whatever I felt like that is just primarily for me, for my personal betterment, wasn't doing me any good. I tried yoga, I tried stretching, all kinds of things, um, Vipassana, meditation, breathing methods. I mean, it's important. I'm not rejecting the fact. I'm not rejecting the idea that maybe it's beneficial physically that um, you keep your body. I keep my body healthy. It is, of course, important, but I don't think it's gonna solve my emotional problem. Like the emotional problem that I had was not solvable through personal betterment, especially if I'm so focused on just getting better myself. Not really. No matter how physically healthy I get, the mind would not follow. It would not go to the place with my body. It would not go to a good place with my body because it still doesn't solve the root of my struggle. That is this question that has been haunting. Like, what is the point? You know what I mean? Like, what is the point of all this? What's the point of being happy? What's the point of being healthy? What's the point of alive, right? It doesn't solve that problem. It doesn't solve that struggle. It doesn't give me a motivation to get up to. But yeah, um, today I guess I just wanted to share with you guys on the experience of my Vipassana, and I'll talk more about what's the point. More of my thoughts on what I think is a point to be alive later. Maybe in the next episode. I don't know. But yeah, today I'm kind of tired. My energy went really low all of a sudden. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. And take care of yourself. Super cold in Estonia right now. Minus 16 degree. Minus 11 right now, but even colder in the morning. Be safe. And yeah. See you in the next one. Never off the boat.